we go. So, positive commands are to give orders or advice. This is how you would speak to people informally. In other words, not to people that you need to show respect to, but people that you are in charge of, like children. And thirdly, it's the same as the LA form of the present tense verb. So tu habla means you, say it, speak. Tu escucha, listen. So I have a couple of commands here for us to try. So I'll pause this and have you guys come up and each of you can write one. Okay, here are those answers. Corre, come, baila, lee, mira. And I found this list of rules that some Spanish-speaking teacher put on the internet. For these are rules for her class, and they're in the familiar imperative, meaning that they're telling the kids what to do. So we're going to circle all of the familiar commands that are utilized on her list here. Okay, so you can see how this teacher has used a lot of familiar commands to tell her kids how she expects them to behave in class. So that's a really good example about how familiar commands would be used in a setting. Now, there of course have to be irregulars because, hey, it's a language and it can't be easy. So, here are the irregulars. And I think the only way to really get these down are just to memorize them, of course. Repitan. D. Az. Be. Con. Sal. Se. Ten. Ven. Ven conmigo. Come with me. Ten cuidado. Be careful. Sal conmigo. Leave with me. Pon el lápiz en la mesa. Put the pencil on the table. All right. So, here we've got the teacher addressing the student again. She says, Estudia para la prueba, Juanito. Study up. There's a task. Haz tu tarea. Do your homework. Escucha bien, Pipito. Listen. Again, familiar commands. Now, the second part of this is that you can attach a pronoun right on the end of a command. You can't do that on the end of everything, but you can on the end of a command. You can see right here we have that me on the end of it. Escúchame. Listen to me. So, what's escúchame? Listen to me. How about escríbelo? What would that be? Mírala. Let's just look at it. And pásala. I say this one a lot. Pasa la tarea al frente. What's that? Pass it. Now, when you attach a command on the end, or a pronoun on the end of a command here, you got to add something. What did I add to each of these words that wasn't there before? What? Yeah. And where do you put the accent? Yep. So, escucha. If you just look at it, escucha, then the scu is the second to the last syllable. If you look at escriba, the ba is the last syllable, so the syllable before would be the scri. So you gotta be careful, put the second to the last syllable. Also, you can deal with reflexives the same way. They can also be attached. Okay? So we have the verb levantarse to get yourself up here. So if you say to somebody, levántate, you're saying, get it yourself up. And you then, that accent is still dealt with right there. And then you have your reflexive pronoun on the end. All right. Piece 2 of the puzzle here. When you tell somebody to not do something, don't do it, there's a second way to set up your command conjugations. They're formed differently, and this is where the subjunctive comes into play. Just like when we form the subjunctive, you're going to take the yo form of the verb, and then you drop that O, and you're going to add an ES for AR verbs and an AS for ER/IR verbs. So it's the opposite of the present tense, or exactly the same as the conjugation would be for the subjunctive of that form. Here's some additional things you need to know about this. Verbs that have a stem change, just like in the subjunctive, they keep the stem change. So dormir would be duermo, drop the O, add the opposite ending. It's an IR verb, so I'm going to add an AS. No duermas, don't sleep. Same with our irregular yo verbs like conocer, tener, venir, poner. They're going to keep that original conjugation. So tener is tango, but then we drop the O and add the AS, so we get no tangas, don't have, would be what we're saying there. And then ver, the yo form is veo, no veas. So again, just like the subjunctive. The CAR, GAR, ZAR verbs keep their spelling change, just like in the subjunctive and in the preterite. So we have sakar, yo form sake. So then we would get no saques, don't take it. No saques, no lo saques, don't take it if we stick that low in there. Almorzar. I feel like I did that one wrong, didn't I, guys? What did I do? No, that's right. Because it's a ZAR verb, so the Z changes to a C. Almorces, and then jugues. And then finally the reflexives. They can be attached on the end of a positive command, but they're not attached to the end of a negative command. They gotta go in front. So they actually go between the no and the verb. So no te levantes is don't get up. I'm gonna pause for a few minutes, let you write. Okay, let's practice with if you can you write some negative commands. And there's what they look like. Clase repita, no corras, no salgas, no jugues, no pierdas, no pagues. And of course there has to be irregular negatives. Okay, so dar, we have no des, estar, no estés. Do these look familiar? Ir, no vayas, saber, no sepas, ser, no seas. Here's a phrase you hear often. No seas estúpido. Don't be stupid. No vayas al cine. Sinmigo. Don't go without me. No estés tarde a la clase. Ok, abren los libros por favor a página 379. Vamos a hacer el intento. Los primeros C son familiares positivos y estos C son negativos.